the people of sake actually brought me into sake.
Back in 1988, this place was actually in Ginza on the main drag.
At first it was kind of soy sauce, it was miso.
To the point where it actually changed my life.
New Year's Day 1989.
Not just sake as a beverage, but all the culture and history.
Welcome back to another episode of Sake on Air, the world's first podcast dedicated to sake, shochu, and awamori, made possible with the generous support of the Japan Sake and Shochu Makers Association. My name is Cindy Bissik, and with me today I have Frank Walter. Frank, hello.
Hi, Cindy. How's it going?
It's going not too bad. Today we're talking about a prefecture I really love, but I feel like I haven't been as much exploring it as I should. We are talking about Shiga and of course Shiga sake and things to do and see when you come over to Japan and look for places that are not smack in the middle of Tokyo or Kyoto or Osaka. Helping us with this today is a good friend of mine, Takashi Eguchi-san, nickname Umio. Hello, Umio. How are you?
Hello. How are you doing?
So Umio has been with us on the show previously. So we brought him back because he has a lot of knowledge in tourism, in sake. He has co-authored the Sake Bible. So if you look at the back and you see the tasting notes, that's all Umio's doing. And yes, he has experience teaching sake and tourism at university and is currently writing about sake, about tourism, and is also very engaged in the field, guiding people, not just in Kyoto, but in many places, including Shiga, right?
Yes. Of course, I guide my clients, the tourists in Shiga Prefecture, especially in breweries and old city, the Izakaya. Shiga is personally my favorite place to visit. So Shiga Prefecture is next to Kyoto Prefecture, and it takes only like 15 minutes to, at most like 1.5 hours to travel in Shiga Prefecture from Kyoto. I sometimes drink sake with friends in izakayas in Shiga. And the reason why I like Shiga is my favorite place, is the food culture and nature and the people.
Yeah, and I want to add in here that actually a lot of my explorations in my early days, especially in Kyoto and Kansai and bigger Kansai, not just Shiga and Kyoto, has actually been thanks to Umio, because he has been showing me around a lot of breweries and amazing izakaya. So I think best to maybe just dive straight into why people should go and see Shiga. Like, what's your favorite thing about Shiga and obviously Shiga sake, Umio?
The first time I had Shiga sake was in Kyoto, actually. Although Shiga and Kyoto administratively different region, but the culturally, especially in terms of food culture, we are in the same region. So many brewers and Toji, the master brewers and the brewery owners, visit Kyoto not only for the promotion but also for personal reasons. And the first time I had Shiga sake was in an izakaya in Kyoto. I moved to Kyoto about 15 years ago, and I found there are many izakayas that serve sake from Shiga, because for a long time the sake in Kyoto, there are many large breweries that are exporting to other regions of Japan, and that was the sake in Kyoto was not regarded as local sake. So people who wants to enjoy local sake enjoyed Shiga sake.
When you say local sake, what do you mean?
So local sake is, we say jizake. Jizake is a translation, is equivalent to local sake, but we have a connotation that local sake should be regional, made by hand with by small breweries. So jizake, a local sake, not only indicate the regionality but also the style, the philosophy of brewing. So the sake produced in large factories and distributed all over Japan was not considered as local sake.
Okay, so it's like Gekkeikan would not be local sake even in Kyoto.
Even in Kyoto, yes, in the definition of jizake, no.
Okay.
But it was in like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It is now changing because large companies, large breweries are making a craft sake in small batches.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, the local sake, jizake. So people imagine the sake brewed with family-run small breweries in rural area.
I see. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
So you ended up drinking more Shiga sake than you were drinking Kyoto sake in Kyoto. Is that what you're trying to tell us here?
That's my first experience 15 years ago. Just like other sake drinkers. Now I just mentioned we are like rediscovering local sake of in Kyoto, regardless of the size and the production method. But other days, people, including me, regarded like jizake, the local sake, should be brewed in rural area.
So now that we have established that we like Shiga sake a lot, I feel like a lot of people that might be listening are not necessarily aware where Shiga is. So to give you a little pointer, Shiga is a prefecture which is bordering Kyoto, obviously, as we just learned, but also Fukui, Gifu, and Mie Prefecture. And I think one of the standout of Shiga is that it has a massive lake in the middle, and because of that, the different sides of the lake are actually quite different in terms of their regionality. And the breweries that you'd find on either side also can have quite a different style.
Right. So we local people and we you distinguish the sub-region in Shiga Prefecture depending on which side of the Lake Biwa they belong to. So there are like northern, southern, eastern, and the western region area, and each region has different water source and different culture, and even language, even dialects, and food culture, and so as the taste of sake.
Mm.
And Lake Biwa is essential for local people, and they call the Lake Biwa as like Mother Lake or just Umi. Umi is a Japanese word for ocean, so they call the lake as ocean.
Do any of the breweries use Lake Biwa water for the sake?
No, the most of the breweries uses the underground current water from the mountains surrounding the Lake Biwa. So
Oh,
they are using the water from the mountain to the lake.
okay.
Mm.
So it's the water's on its way to the lake and
Mm.
they use that, but they don't actually use the lake water.
Right.
And I think that's also one of the reasons why when we're talking about Chiga sake, it's not like one style of sake because
Mm.
you're looking at different water
Mm.
sources
Mm.
from different mountains, depending on which side of the lake
Right.
you're throwing yourself.
So basically from the northern and western side, the water of the current is very soft, and especially in the western region of the prefecture has extremely soft water, whereas from the water from the eastern mountains, they have like rather hard water. Yes, and that affects the quality of sake too.
So within Shiga, like where would most of the breweries be located? I believe there's 30, 31 breweries brewing at the moment.
Yes, there are 31 or two breweries. Every year, sadly, one or two brewery close their business, so it is 30 or 31 or 32. And most of the breweries are in the eastern area or the southern area. In the eastern area, there are many rice paddies, and as you know, it is important to have access to ingredient rice for the sake brewing. And in the southern regions, there used to be a traditional highway, the post road, and the many breweries in the southern area along the historic highway. It was important for the before the modernization. We need to have like many posts because we were moving either on foot or with horse, and there are many post towns alongside the highway, and in the post town there used to be many like hotels and sake breweries.
So talking about these sake breweries,
Mhm.
do you have any favorite?
In the southern area, my favorite sakes are Emishiki, and
Mm,
Shinkai brewed by Fujimoto Shuzo and Kitajima Shuzo.
okay.
These and Mifuku Shuzo. They are all in the post town, and they brew very savory, tasty, and characteristic sake. And if in the northern part, there are two breweries in the post town of the traditional highway. One is Yamaji Shuzo, the other is Tomita Shuzo in Kinomoto post town.
Are they all accessible or open to the public to visit, or do you have to have a special connection
Oh
to
yes.
get in?
So unlike the breweries in Kyoto, which has like museums and tours, about 10 breweries out of 30 breweries accept tours, but they're all you need to reserve, and you need to check in advance.
Is it something that people can book online, or do you have to call them or email
Yes,
them or fax them?
the most of the breweries only accept telephone and email
Mm.
from and some breweries has like reservation form in their website.
So I guess most of the breweries, once you arrive there, will also be mainly Japanese speaking.
Unfortunately, yes, unfortunately so. So because most of the breweries are a family-run company, and it is difficult to breweries like them run by family to do tour because of the because you need to have special personnel for guiding tour.
But I think the beauty that we have these days is that with like Google Translate or ChatGPT,
Yes,
even
yes,
though
yeah.
you cannot speak Japanese, once you venture out to the brewery and you make it there, things are becoming much easier. Um, do you have any of these 10 out of 30 that you would recommend for people to try visit? Maybe breweries that are, because I think the other things that we're not talking about is it's sometimes quite difficult to access because we're
Mhm.
not in downtown area. There's buses or trains that have to be coordinated. So is there any brewery that you would recommend that's accessible and that does a tour where people could try to get in touch and organize it.
The most of the breweries are in rural area, and it is not easy to access by like public transportation. But like Kitajima and Mifuku Shuzo in the post town I mentioned, I recommend these two breweries, and the Fuji Honke in the eastern area region of Shiga. They provide a sake tour, and they have a large shop, and their architecture is fantastic. They have like the buildings use the wooden columns, very wide wooden columns, which we usually see in the like shrine architecture. And looking at the not only the brewing process, but the building itself is fantastic.
And how would you describe their sake? Like if someone would think about now going there to see the beautiful building and learn a bit about brewing, like what kind of sake do they make? Is there anything that you would recommend people to try if they go there?
Okay. The sake of the Fuji Honge Brewery is basically savory and strong sake, and the importance is the ingredient rice. They use local rice and locally grown rice and locally developed rice, and especially I recommend to have a sip of sake made with Shiga Wataribune, the rice variety.
Cool. And how do people get there? Like if we were gonna come from Kyoto, like how would I go to the brewery?
If you visit the brewery from Kyoto, you take the train of JR and change trains to a nearest station, and from the nearest station it might take 30 minutes on foot, and I recommend to take a taxi, take a cab from the station to the brewery. And in many cases in the local areas on Shiga, you might have to reserve taxi before you get to the station.
So this was like Fuji Honke. Do you have any other sake that you love or brewery that you maybe sometimes personally do tours at?
Yes, in the western area, there is a brewery called Uehara Shuzo that makes the sake called the Frozen, and that is actually the first Shiga sake I tasted in my life, and still one of my favorite sake. The Frozen is very hefty and full body, flavorful sake that is brewed with a very natural method without adding cultured yeast. They only use the natural fermentation, spontaneous fermentation. And the brewery also uses a traditional wooden pressing machine with a balance beam press, which is very rare. I think there's a handful of like about 75 breweries in Japan out of 1,000 breweries use the traditional pressing method. They have a shop that sells all the sake of the brewery, and the sake tour is available.
Awesome.
Yes, it's awesome.
And for anybody, it's really great sake to also be drunk warm or slightly heated up.
Yes, the sake is like basically good sake is excellent in any temperature, and the frozen sake is especially great when you warm up, even for the unpasteurized sakes and for the ginjo sakes that usually people do not warm. I still have like several bottles of frozen in my fridge, and I still regularly drink the warm sake or frozen, like weekly or weekly. Yes,
Yeah. It's in many, many fridges in Kyoto
many
because it's really
fridges
great.
Kyoto. Yes,
Yeah. So from frozen, then maybe give us one more brewery that you would recommend.
yes. I recommend one brewery in City Brewery in Otsu City. Otsu City is the capital of Shiga Prefecture, and they had been like from the 17th century. The brewery is called Hirai Shoten that brews sake called Asajio, and now it's the only brewery in the city area of Otsu, but there used to be 77 breweries in the region in Edo period. And that was the primary port on Lake Biwa, and it was important to trade rice. And the rice product cultivated in the northern part of Japan was carried by boat in the Lake Biwa and carried to Kyoto and Osaka. The rice was available in the port city. There used to be 77 breweries at the peak during the Edo period. And the Hirai Shoten is the only brewery that continues to brew sake in the city area of Otsu.
Because Otsu is actually quite accessible from Kyoto with maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes by train. 15 minutes by
Mm.
train, yes. And there are many like izakayas of sake that serve sake in the city area of Otsu, and they are very good at pairing local cuisine with local sake, the Shiga food and Shiga sake. In Otsu City, I recommend two izakayas. One is Nao that serves great sake and food, and Hanabi that serves a variety of local sake. Yeah, besides the izakayas in cities in like in Otsu, I recommend it. Or you search on the map app of the smartphone. I recommend it to ask the brewers where to go in the region, because brewers know the best places to drink sake in their neighborhood, and the people in the izakayas have a strong relationships with the brewery, and they're the great fan of the brewery, and that might overcome the like language barrier, because even though you were using the smartphone, the translation app, you will experience the great hospitality of the people in the izakaya.
And I think that's really great advice because especially when you get out the cities, people are very curious and they like to meet and figure out why you're in this small town away from everything. So I think that's really, really great advice, actually.
That usually people in rural areas in Shiga and other regions of Japan, they have great hospitality to the travelers, people from outside.
And now that we heard a couple of breweries and places you like to visit and like to drink, I might add one or two that I love. I know you know them as well. I have a feeling you might have introduced me to them. Um, one of them is Okamura Honke, the makers of King Kame or the Golden Turtle. I went there maybe 3 years ago. And again, like it's not a place that you stumble upon because you just get off a train somewhere. It's also a good 1 hour train ride or like 45 minutes train ride and then a small taxi. But I was really impressed because they do tours, although they're mainly in Japanese. They do have visuals that even if you don't speak Japanese, you can understand what they're trying to show you. But The best part is actually their tasting room. They are doing kind of a lineup from, is it 30% to 100% polished?
Good news. They started to from 10 and 20. So now you have like
Oh, okay.
polishing ratio 10, 10 to 100.
So basically you can drink the almost, well, it's actually not true. So you can try many of their sakes at different polishing rates, also with a 100, and they call it the red sake, which is unpolished rice, which is actually one of my favorite
Hmm.
that they have. But if that sounds already pretty amazing, they also give you everything unpasteurized and pasteurized. So you really want to spend a little bit of time in their tasting room because it's quite a cool experience when you can do like a side by side how things change just by pasteurization. So I definitely recommend for people to go there if you feel like doing a day trip.
Yes, yes.
They also do a sake festival twice a year. So in spring, I think it's late April, and then in autumn, if you look up on their Instagram or homepage, you'll see the dates. They will have a shuttle bus from the station, which makes it a little bit easier. And then they have the festival shenanigans with food and free sake, and it's a pretty nice way to explore, spend the day in Shiga, and also you will inevitably inevitably make new friends because people do, as I said earlier, like to talk.
Yeah, that's true. Sake always. I'm a great fan. I really like to participate in like such festivals in everywhere because I believe that sake connects people, especially in the festivals, and that's the power of sake to connect people.
Yeah, I totally agree. And again, like even if you're a foreigner and you feel a bit shy, don't worry.
Mm. Don't worry.
People actually are very curious
Mm,
about
mm.
getting to know you. And again, as we have these apps that can translate, it's actually quite fun to try to have a conversation with the
Yes, yes,
locals.
right. It is. I- if you have sake, if you have drinking the same sake the breathing the same air, being in the same place, you don't need language. So that's we can communicate via sake. That's what we call Nihonshugo, the language of Japanese sake, language of sake. Oh, can I add one thing about the polishing ratio sake? I've tasted the polishing ratio sake from 30 to 100, and I found my personal favorite is 100 sake, 100 polishing ratio. That means no polishing, brown rice sake, and
Mm.
the best balanced ones either 80% or 90%. That means the brewery is very good at brewing sake with lower polishing ratio. In general, most of the breweries are like trying to. Most of the breweries are making premium sake with high polishing ratio, like 30 to 40%. That experience changed my mind that it's not a matter of polishing ratio to determine that sake is premium or not. It's just
Mm.
how the brewer extracts the good part of the rice. It's kind of geeky, but
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think this might be a nice bridge to my last input to this episode, which is technically not sake, but it's craft sake and Doboroku, which is actually probably one of my favorite Doborokus, called Happy Taro. I know you know this very well as well, Umio,
yes,
because we went there
yes,
together a couple of years ago, um, which I really, really loved because I think it's located in a really great village of Nagahama, which has like a beautiful castle. It has a beautiful small merchant district where they have a lot of glass shops, galleries, workshops. You can make your own glass there as well. And then hidden in is it a department building?
Yes, it's a department building.
So inside the department building, we find Happy Taro.
And the concept of the department store is craft and natural. They say there are the multiple shops of like craft textiles and craft bags and natural foods and organic food. And the Dobroku matches the both of the concept, both craft and natural.
And it's great because I know Kotaro Ikechima-san, he's generally in the shop. He's the maker behind the brews, and you can also do a tasting there. So it's quite a nice little getaway if you're looking for something that maybe is a little bit more, let's go and go to an old town, do a bit of culture, crafts, and then have a drink as you're going along. And you can maybe even pick up a nice sake glass or two, you know. It's a good place to also bring home something that you then can use at home to enjoy your sake in the future.
And Ikejima-san brews the plain sake, and the plain sake is available all the time. And he also makes the special sake with special flavor, like tea flavor and like special kimoto method. The special sake is with sub ingredients. I like his way of brewing that every time he brews sake sub ingredients, he just don't procure. He just don't buy the sub ingredients. He always build strong relationships with the producers of sub ingredients. That's a good part. Good part. I like his way of building the connection with the people that produces sub ingredients, and he puts his not only his thoughts but also the philosophy of the producers of like tea and the berries to the Dobroku.
And I think he calls like the plain is like plain Toboroku, and then the other one is called something happy.
Something happy, yes, yes.
Yes, which I think is quite cute. Yeah, and I guess now we talked a little bit about glasses, and I think although it is peripheral to sake, but for anyone that is really into their cups or their pottery, we cannot not mention that Shiga Prefecture also has its very own pottery town called Shigaraki. It's quite difficult to get to now, I have to say. I think trying to go will set you at least an hour and a half back. I'd actually say generously, probably more likely two with the connection and everything. But if you're into pottery, it's very worth seeing for one, because it is where all the tanuki come from. So it's quite spectacular to see all the streets lined with massive tanukis. And then the pottery is really special as well, as it is more towards an earthenware, like earthy colors. It's rather rough, has a natural texture. They're really special to drink from, especially when you have also maybe a warmer sake or a nigori, or then again, if you have a doboroku, these cups are really quite stunning to have in your cupboards.
Yes, yes. I completely agree with you that there are theories to choose appropriate cup for the types of sake, whether the fruity sake for that glass. But I always select sake cups according to the feeling from sake. So this sake should fit, or this sake wants to fit in this cup, or this cup. That's the fun part of selecting your cup and sake. And in the center of Shigaraki Yaki pottery, I recommend to visit Shigaraki Traditional Crafts Center, Shigaraki Yaki Museum. So in Shigaraki region, there are many potters, and they have their workshop along with small shops, and it's worth visiting the town to if you are interested in seeing and shopping the pottery.
Yeah, I think the charm of these pottery villages is really that you get to walk around, go to different workshops, and then you see beautiful pieces that you'll never see anywhere in the shops in the bigger cities because they actually never make it that far. And then price point, if you feel like buying a couple of things, it's always worth to come to these small villages because a lot of the items are much cheaper and you have so much more choice. I do have to add it is a dangerous place. If you do like pottery, you will need an extra bag on your return trip to your home.
And you might be able to find even the experimental works of the potters. I think the good part of the pottery village is you would experience the different generations. So sometimes the family-run workshops has two sections of father and the son.
Yeah, so I mean, again, like Shiga really is a great place because it has a wide variety of sake, but it also has this little other hubs that you can go visit and get your fill of culture and maybe even get a sake souvenir to sip your Shiga sake from in the future. So this might be a good place to slowly wrap up this episode. Umio, thank you so much for joining us and also for sharing your expertise. I know there's much more.
Much more, yes.
I know we could have probably talked for quite some more time. So we'll have to figure out another way of pulling you in for something else. But it was really interesting to hear your favorite spots, although they might not be as accessible to foreign tourists. But that being said, I also know that you and many other sake enthusiasts do sake tours. And if you would like to share where people can find you, if they would be interested of maybe joining you on something that you organize, where can people locate you or get in touch?
I have a website of called sakeconcierge.com, and there are some contacts of via social media or contact form. There are pages that describe the short introduction to the sake tours too.
So maybe we can also share your Instagram account.
Yes,
So people
sure.
want to maybe send you a message there.
Sure. It's my Instagram account is sakesom underscore umio, SAKESOMM underscore UMIO.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Arigato.
No, thank you so much, both of you. So yes, this was this episode of Sake on Air. We will be back soon with more sake and shochu related topics for you to tune into. Feel free to also rate us on your podcast platform of your choice. It is tremendously helpful for us to create better content. And also let us know if you have ideas or feedback for us. We always love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening to Sake on Air. We will be back very soon. And until then, kampai.
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 Sake on Air is made possible with the generous support of the Japan Sake and Shochu Makers Association and is broadcast from the Japan Sake and Shochu Information Center in downtown Tokyo. It is produced by Export Japan, and our team is Shuso Imada, Justin Potts, Arlene Lyons, Cindy Bissig, Chris Hughes, Chris Pellegrini, John Gottner, Marie Nagata, Miho Ota, Rebecca Wilson-Lai, Sebastian Wan, and me, Frank Walter. Until next time, kampai!